Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your voice of the Red Wolves, Isaiah Hoffman, and we have two very special guests with me today. I have Denise Davalos and Davalos, excuse me, and then I also have Vanessa Temple with me here today. How are we doing?
I'm pretty good. How are
you?
I'm
doing good.
All right, we'll just get into it. Nothing crazy to open up. Just where'd you guys go to high school?
I'll go first. I went to Monroe High School in Monroe, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And where'd you go?
I went to Batesville, Indiana.
Batesville?
High school. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how was your high school experience? Before we get into sports, did you enjoy high school? Anything that you remember the most about high school?
I enjoyed high school. I was in a lot of extracurricular activities, did a lot with my school, so I was very involved.
Mm-hmm. Can you name off some of those activities?
I was in student council, student government, NHS. I helped with the yearbook a couple times. I was in sports. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was in Spanish club, but other than that, I wasn't really involved as much, but I kind of try to stick to soccer and really just devote a lot of my time into working.
Just focus on sports. I gotcha. So, looking at the sports side of things on the high school side, did you only play soccer?
I played basketball growing up a little bit, but really just stuck to soccer.
Gotcha. What about you, Vanessa? What sports in high school did you play?
I played soccer from since I was 3 years old, but I ran track my junior year.
Okay.
And I also run track here now.
So soccer's always been the sport for both of you. What is it about soccer that I guess kind of caught your guys' eye? What, the interest behind it? Is it, maybe someone else played it before you, or you just kind of found the sport on your own?
I'd say I found the sport on my own. My dad really likes basketball, and we're a big basketball family, but I really enjoyed soccer, and I've just been playing it for so long that I just kind of got into a routine all year round.
And for me, my family all played it growing up, and I was just always around it. And we're a soccer family. We don't really watch any other sports, so I just grew up with it, and my dad, my uncles, my siblings trained me.
So it's always been soccer for both of y'all. You said you played year round, so I know there's indoor season and there was outdoor season, correct?
Yeah, there's it's club spring season, then there's summer soccer, then there's fall season, and then there's indoor, and it just keeps going on a continuous cycle.
Is there anyone? Is there either that you guys preferred playing? Maybe indoor or outdoor? Because obviously, they all have their different challenges. So was there one that you preferred over the other? Yeah. I know those outdoor games can be rough, but so.
I've played in snow. I've played in whatever weather there's been, but I feel like my favorite was indoor soccer. We used to have these co-ed teams just for fun. Those were my favorites.
Yeah, those were the best.
Can you kind of go in? So what do you mean by co-ed teams?
Girls and guys, just high school, and we play a tournament. And we had this indoor soccer field. It was called The Field in Monroe, and we would always play with all people from our school, and it was just super fun.
Yeah, does that sound about right? How co-ed works? Okay, gotcha. So so both of you played soccer in high school. Was it always the goal to play soccer in college? And when did you realize that was going to become a reality? To play in college?
I feel like it was always a goal of mine because I was around a lot of people who played for the bigger clubs, and I always heard them talk about playing for college. I was like, oh, I want to do that. That sounds really cool.
But for me, I think it was travel soccer that really got me into scouting and all that type of stuff. But I never really actually thought I could do it, but here I am,
So we'll kind of get into the college side of things now. When you look at, I guess, the whole recruiting process, how was that for both of you? Any visits you took, and why was IU East ultimately the pick for both of you?
I would say I started late. I didn't start when I should have, because you're supposed to start sophomore year, junior year, talking to coaches, whatever. I didn't start until my senior year. And I found a couple places. I took I think a visit to Mount Vernon, and then I was at an ID camp at Mount St. Joe where I met Shane from IU East, and then I just really liked his style of coaching and how energetic and passionate he was, and then I just kept talking to him, and that's kind of how I got here.
For me, I did get I was talking to a few schools just around the area, but I think what stuck out to me was Shane, because he just wouldn't stop nagging me about it. Like, that meant a lot, and that just showed a lot of his passion into like trying to get as many recruits as he really can. So.
Did you guys, either of you, go on a visit or come here to IU East for a visit?
I went on a visit. I can't remember when. I went with my mom, and I think it was McKenna and Abby who showed me around, and it was a good little visit. Like, the apartments kind of were like really cool. I was like, okay. And then I practiced with the team beforehand, and that was really good to like kind of introduce me to everybody, and I just really felt like a connection.
What about you, Vanessa? Or not Vanessa. Sorry, got that wrong.
No, for me, I didn't take a visit or anything, but I mean, I kind of did my own research about like IU East and just like the players and everything.
Anything else that you liked about the school, maybe academically, on the side of things now that you've been here for 2-3 years basically?
I'd say that was a big part for me, because I didn't want to just come for soccer. I wanted to do academic as well. But I really like the personal attention that you get, and like the smaller size of the classrooms, and like the teachers really care about each individual student. And it's not like when you go to bigger schools and it's just like 400 people in a room and you're just like a number,
I think for me, when I first came here, the biggest thing was the faculty and like the council. Like, you can really talk to whoever you want about any problems you have, and they'll find a way to help you. So I think that's a really big thing.
Gotcha. So when you came in as freshmen, did you feel the difference from high school to college, whether that's practices and games, and what were the big differences for both of you?
Waking up earlier for practice, because I'd always have practice like after school. What else? I like traveling, like bus days, game days. That was more fun. I mean, my high school soccer team was very committed. We were very my coach was like all about fitness, so like we didn't do too much stuff that was like over the top, like in college.
Yeah, I think the energy at practice is a lot different than in high school. Like, there's just they're always on top of it, trying to pick up the energy for practice and stuff.
So high school was a little more kind of low energy.
Yeah, kind of laid back a bit, but this you have to compete to play. So you really have to work.
You guys you both got into the practice side. Can you go a little bit into the games? I know high school. Is it a different intensity level when it comes to high school and college? And obviously the competition level rises also. Did you feel that difference when you first stepped out onto the field for your first couple of college games?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. Yes.
It was like I had my first college game. I remember being so nervous because I was like, it's college. Like, this is different. I don't my first high school game, I wasn't nervous at all because just play with my friends, people I've known for a while. Like, I've been there my whole life. And then college, I was like, I have to play really good, or this has first impressions, whatever. But I was just so nervous for my first game.
Okay, I forgot. How did you feel for those first couple games?
Honestly.
Or did she just
No, yeah.
Okay, I got you. I do want to get into the academic side of things. Can you guys both say, what's your majors and what you're looking to do once you leave IU East?
I'm a human life science major, and I plan to go to grad school to be a physical therapist after I graduate from here.
Gotcha.
And I'm a Spanish major, and I plan to do something with translating or interpreting in all aspects. It could be from a hospital to school or anything like that.
Now, you guys both said soccer very much it's taken up a lot of your time just, since you guys were little. Mm-hmm. Would you want to play soccer once you get out of IU East, or is at that point just to focus on, both of your guys' majors?
That would be the dream, honestly.
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow, keep playing soccer. Mm-hmm. That would be dream come true, honestly.
No, yeah. I will definitely get into maybe even some Mexico leagues or something like that. Like my family's from Mexico, so maybe even trying to get into those, or like starting out smaller in smaller pro leagues or something like that to build myself up. Like that's what I plan to do. So,
All right, I got you. Thank you guys for joining me. That is going to do it. Make sure you do go and check out the women's soccer team next season. That is going to do it, though. We have more coming up, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back on Inside IUE Sports.
Let's shine by seeing the best in all of us and by looking out for everyone's well-being. Let's shine by staying true to ourselves while surging toward the future. Let's shine with the best care possible and by treating you here, right in your hometown. Let's look out for each other. Let's stay healthy. Let's shine together.
A spark, an invitation into the world of the unknown. It moves us to change, to grow. It asks us to dream bigger. An idea is better shared. It ignites us, and we make each other bright. We can do great things together.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Inside IUE Sports. I am here with the interim head coach for the men's soccer team, Dalton, Clement. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you in the studio. Congrats on the new opportunity on becoming the interim head coach. We'll dive into that a little more. But first, let's just get to know you. Where'd you grow up? How was what sports did you play?
Sure.
Growing up?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. So spent 18 years of my life there, and then I went to a Division III college in Arkansas. It's called Hendrix College. Small liberal arts school, probably about 1,200 kids that were enrolled there. I did play soccer there for 4 years. My experience was a little different than maybe some of my coaching experiences now after college. I tell the guys here even I loved the school. I loved everything about it. We had everything we could have asked for facility-wise, but didn't help us win any games. So didn't have consistent coaches in my 4 years there, which was unfortunate. I think as a player, for sure, I didn't enjoy that piece, but looking back, I loved it and wouldn't have changed the world for sure.
Was there any sports you played in high school besides soccer? Was there any other sports you had an interest in? Or?
No, I mean, I got into, I tried baseball and basketball a little bit when I was a kid, but really I needed to keep moving, and everything else was pretty boring to me if it wasn't soccer. So whether it was watching or playing, that's where my friend groups were. That's kind of whether we were in high school season. I guess here in Indiana it's the fall. In Texas it's the winter and spring. But we'd play club in the fall together, and then we'd go right into high school and then right back into club together. So it was the same circle of crew, and I never really felt the need to go try other things or go. We would go play pickup of other sports for sure and stuff, but. And had friends in other sports and supported other sports, but never really got into it. Was better with the ball at my feet for sure.
What was when you were little, I guess, what gave you your interest the most in soccer? What intrigued you the most? Was it people around you? Was it just discovering it on your own? Maybe, like you said, watching it? What took your interest?
Sure.
Or what? I can't put it together. Where did you get your interest from soccer from? I guess.
My influence definitely comes from my family. I think every time we kind of step onto the field, we take a little bit of the people with us, right? Our history. My mom was a huge soccer player. My dad as well. He was president of the Austin Men's Soccer League in the 70s and 80s, which is when it was first kind of really getting going. Now Austin FC is a professional MLS team, right? So it's kind of full circle for them and the Austin community. But for me at large, it's really, my brother played. I was going to his games. He's many years older than I am, so I was kind of raised just. Instead of Sundays, instead of going to church, we were going to the soccer field. It was just what it was, and I loved it. And so we just kept doing it, and it was kind of a habit. And then all of a sudden I started playing more and getting into higher level stuff. So we kept with it. My dad still plays to this day, so he's still part of it. They go to the Austin FC games all the time. So soccer's really our family connection for the immediate four of us, for sure. And so now as we take that right into college and moving along and coaching, they're still with me for sure,
Yeah, gotcha. So you said you played soccer in college. Now you're coaching. What got you into coaching, I guess, when you got out of college or maybe when you were in college? Where was that first hint of maybe I should start coaching?
Sure. Yeah, like I said, we didn't have a consistent coaching staff. I had consistent assistants for the most part in my time in college, but really the head changed a lot. So that really kind of fell onto the senior leader players to be the guys, right, to maintain rules and maintain kind of standards or whatever they might be at the time. So, I think that was my first introduction into sort of a leadership, more than just a captain's armband kind of leadership role. I graduated with a business degree, went and worked in the sales force for probably a year and a half doing sports advertising for Ohio University Athletics, which got me here in the Midwest. I did that for about a year and a half, and then COVID hit, which obviously changed a ton of lives. And mine on top of that. And usually it would be for the worse, but actually it's for the better. I found an internship at Hanover College. So I went from full-time job to an intern. But I knew that if I was going to be spending 12 hours at some field on a Saturday, it may as well be a soccer field. So I'm really enjoying it. I was able to be at Hanover for about a year and a half with the women's program over there. We won 2 conference championships in the time, made it to the national tournament once. So really proud of what we did there. Obviously, I kind of just stepped into a already successful program and just kind of tried to help in any way I could at that time, especially being the first time I'm involved in coaching,
So where were you at Hanover? Where were you at? Were you the assistant coach, like right next to the head coach, or were you, I guess, I don't know, a couple pegs down a little bit? Or?
At Division III in Hanover, obviously very successful, but they have 2, I would say, in terms of hours, they're 2 full-time people,
Gotcha.
Right? They have a head coach that is full-time, and he's been incredible. He's won a ton of conference championships and multiple national runs. Not quite titles, but man, they've come close. So a ton of respect for him down there with Jim Watts and that women's program. They really know what they're doing, and that's what a winning program looks like. So I was there as the assistant to maybe help the individuals, right? So we had multiple players that had a lot of skill, but maybe needed help. Maybe honing in their finishing or changing up their certain sort of forward runs or defending out of the back and how we defend aerial balls. So whatever it is, kind of in the nitty gritty, that's kind of where I would fill in. Coach Watts really had the overarching plan for what we were going to do in the year.
So you were there to help kind of
I helped in any absolutely
stuff,
right, and I think it's a balance, right? It's always a good balance, and separately off the field too, and helping with recruiting and really getting my feet wet. And hey, he's had a successful program because he can recruit really well too, right? If he can do it year in and year out, what is he doing to make that program successful, right? And that's not just with the people in the team, that's with seniors and juniors that he's bringing onto campus, right? So just really learning that whole process and how, the players on your roster before they're even on your roster, right? That's how he would treat somebody. So, I learned a lot out of that, and being able to be his assistant was super valuable in coming to IU East. And
that was what I was going to get into next.
Yeah.
You were at Hanover for a very long time. What got you here to IU East, and when did you know it was time to, I guess, leave Hanover, trying to find a new journey, basically?
Yeah, in all honesty, it comes down to money sometimes, right?
Yeah,
in our lives. So,
of course.
It was an internship. It was a really good opportunity to have, quality wins on a resume, for sure, and really get to know, like I said, what a winning program looks like. Now, I need to make a little more money. I have someone to also support that lives with me. So I started looking around for jobs. I talked to Coach Watts about, hey, after about 2 seasons, I'm probably going to be looking. And he was like, look, if you're here for a third, I'm probably going to be looking for you. He understands that it's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
right?
you got to
move along. So so we started looking here, and this job came up. I applied for it. I figured I need to get into the men's game a little bit. I'd been on the women's side. I'd coached club women's as well down in Columbus, Indiana, and it was good. I have no really preference, really one way or another right now. It was just kind of where the job was, and I think for me, I was looking for more globalization of my sort of resume, right? Can I do multiple things within soccer to make me a valuable option to somebody?
Yeah, I was about to say more diverse.
If I'm only in women's, I'd be afraid that I could only coach in the women's soccer game, right? And unfortunately, it's the case sometimes for some coaches. So hopping over to the men's side, getting some experience here, being under Steve for 2 seasons now, I learned a lot. It's different for sure in terms of the timeliness with recruits for sure. But in the end, it's the game, right?
What about Coach Moore, I guess, are you going to take away from him, basically?
Yeah.
Just kind of, what did you learn from him that you can apply to yourself as a coach? And, what advice has he given you throughout the years? And what makes him such a good head coach, in your opinion?
For sure. I really am just fortunate that I ran into the situation that was here, right? Steve was fantastic in getting this program started. He had a full year to recruit an entire class and then begin soccer, right? So he was able to, although I'm sure he was itching to play, and knowing how he is extremely competitive, but he was able to get a group of guys, and since then, they hadn't missed playoffs, right? So that tells you something about him, that there's a standard already, right?
Yeah.
We might be new, but we're looking to immediately put some pressure on teams, right? And I really value that, right? I think that's kind of a no-fear mentality of, we might be the new kids on the block, but who cares, right? In the end, we're within the same framework of the field. We both have goals. We both got to play, right? He was also really proud about how the team would finish much stronger than it would start. We, in the past 2 years, at least here, I can speak to, we would schedule some tough games, and knowing that they were going to be tough games. And hey, if we got results out of those, it would be great. And really, we just knew that they would translate into, this is a conference team that we're probably going to play. They might not be the same name, but roughly about the same level, right? He did a really good job of preparing the team into conference season and sort of structuring the season in segments, so that we took it kind of in a short run, but with a long run goal, right? There's a long run objective, but we're looking at preseason as a chunk, non-conference as a chunk, conference as a chunk, right? I really enjoyed how he also just interacted right with me, right? Like, I think we had a great relationship. We still have a great relationship, and he really just treated his assistants with respect, right? I think that, it's one thing to have an assistant and give him a few tasks. It's one thing to also have an assistant and involve him. Or her,
prepare you,
right?
I guess, also.
Exactly, and knowing that when I was doing the interview for this job, it wasn't about, hey, I might be coming for your job here soon, right? It was more about, he had the same conversation with me as Coach Watts did with me, right? After 2 seasons, we're probably going to have a conversation that says, okay, do you actually want to be around here longer, or do you want to move on, right? So immediately having that upfront respect of saying, like, I understand this is a profession, and we're going to be as involved as we can while we're here for the time that we're here. But I understand that life happens.
Everyone
right?
has, everyone's got goals.
Things are going to change,
else,
and my fiance might get a new job, or his wife might get a new job, and he might have to move. So that's kind of how the cookie crumbled in this one, and now here we are, right?
And now here we are.
Here we are.
I'll ask this as kind of that final question. What are your goals? Not, I guess, as the season, what are some goals for you? Your first year as head coach.
Yep.
What are some personal goals, I guess, for you and what you want to achieve? Maybe not with the record or, just coaching stuff. Maybe, bonding ideas, just stuff that you kind of want to implement to create your own culture for the team?
Yeah, I think it's come at a pretty convenient time for me in terms of how I plan. We have 5 months in the spring with a lot of practices, but not a lot of games. It's kind of how spring operates. We also have a lot of opportunities to get in the weight room and get going. So I learned that in the weight room is kind of where you begin a brotherhood. It's where I started in high school. I don't look like it, but it was a mentality thing too, right? It's a spirit thing for me too. So we have 5 months to build a culture that we want to represent as us in the fall, to obviously represent who we are off the field. I think everything that we do in the classroom, volunteering, how we, absolutely, it should show how we play on the field, right? And so when we get to the fall, the people that come in, those freshmen that we've been working on for a long time, they don't know the difference. They know what culture we've established, right? Not what has been in the past, whether negative or positive. I think it's been positive for the most part. Change is always good, though, right? I think that the guys were kind of eager for it. I think, they're eager to kind of see how I'm going to go, right? I think they've known me as Dalton, assistant coach, my buddy. Things are going to change a little bit, right? Yes. But I've told all of them, look, my role might change and kind of the decision-making that I have to make is going to change, but our relationship isn't, right? How we talk to each other and how we interact and how we are buddies, and how I just value you as a human isn't going to change, right? I might have to make some calls on
on stuff,
right? On things that are going to be harder. But in the end, right, I want the team to know that this is a place you can fail and still be successful, right? Gotcha. Like you can come here and mess up, and it's okay, right? Like you're going to be here. We have a standard that we have to set, but we have those standards because we demand it from you, and I think that it's something that you can match, right? Yeah. So really excited to get into the spring, kind of see how it goes. I've told a few of them, like, this is a guinea pig experiment in the spring. I'm going to try a few things, and it might be real different one day and crazy different the next. But I'm going to throw some things at you, and I want to see how you react, right?
Gotcha. Thank you, Coach. I do appreciate you for joining me. Once again, congrats on the position that is going to do it for this episode. So make sure you do tune in with us next time. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Inside IUE Sports.